Good afternoon. This is Dean from the Two Party Podcast. We're here today. I want to have a little update talk. There was an announcement by the CDC currently about the reports that there are only 6% or about 9,210 deaths recorded were from actually COVID. The other 94% of the 153,504 deaths had 2 to 3 serious illnesses as well, and an overwhelming majority were of advanced age. So with that update, I thought it would be a great time to discuss that update, as well as a lot of the other things going on around the world. We hear from both sides of the issue that the issue is fake, that this is just simply something as common as the cold or a flu. We hear people on the other side saying that it's an absolute fear mongering of the media and the government, and that there's really no threat at all. We do know that this is a real virus. We do know just reality, science-based. This is something that has taken lives and can take lives, whether it's with complications or without. People have died from just COVID and the onset of the symptoms. So I just thought I'd get into a little bit of that. I wanted to give that update, as I find those numbers to be astonishing. We know we're in an election year. We know there's a lot of political stuff going on in our world, and there always will be. But here on the Two Party Podcast, we try to stay pretty neutral in the middle. I have my opinions on things. That's not to sway the show or take away from what the facts are. And we can always dig deep and find facts, and that's what we look for on this show. We want to present the facts. We want to hear all sides of it, but we definitely want to present the facts first. So I just thought I'd put that out there with the CDC's reporting on that 6%. That's an enormous announcement, really an unprecedented, I guess you could say, which seems to be the new word going around in this past couple years, is because we've all thought 150,000 plus people dying was crazy, and it's been pushed that that's an insane number of people just to die of this, and we're not taking it seriously enough, and our president's not doing enough. And that somebody else can come in and do better. And looking at these numbers and looking at that announcement, that kind of, I don't know that anybody could do better. I think that this president has done everything in his power to handle something that's never been handled. And I think a good point that was brought up to me is looking at those numbers, I think, and you look at the data, I'll add a link once we put this on our page, and once we put this onto YouTube and some of our other platforms, we'll put a link directly to the data and the charts from CDC that verify this. But I think it's important to note that as we continue to do testing, as the president and the administration has said, as we continue to do testing, of course, we're going to find new positive numbers. Those numbers are going to continue to rise as far as positive cases. What we're not going to see, or what we're not seeing, I should say, is we're not seeing an increase in the deaths, which I find to be interesting. We're not seeing a severe increase as we were before, a big overwhelming spike in the deaths. So I think what I would like to believe we're seeing here is we're seeing positive cases being reported, which means people have it. We know it's being spread, just like the flu, just like a cold, just like any other thing that could be contagious or spread. What we're seeing is it's definitely testing positive and out there. But what we're also seeing, which I guess could be the lighter side of things, is that we're not seeing as many deaths. And according to this new report, the numbers show that this hasn't been quite as deadly as we thought, except to those that had the compromised immune systems and those of the older age demographic. So I believe what we're seeing here is a big drastic change. And of course, nobody wants to jump on an immediate bandwagon due to, hey, this is definitely going to be, this is it. This determines we need to open up and go with it. That we still have to do a safe response. I hate seeing businesses closing. I hate seeing people's lives affected by something that I think in a lot of people's minds is an overstepping response or overreaching response to a virus. We know in the past we've never seen anything like this. We didn't see this for chicken pox. We didn't see this for smallpox. We didn't see this for Ebola, the swine flu. You name the virus that's gone around. And this is the first time in the world that we've ever literally shut down a global economy or shut down nations in a solution to stop a virus or to prevent the spread of a virus. Very interesting. Very interesting, the response that we've all had, and then how this all plays out in the future will be, I guess, something that in our lifetime will be one of the most amazing things to see. What it does also make me think about is how we in the future will continue to respond to these viruses or respond to new viruses. How will we continue to respond to, I guess, the fear of the unknown, for lack of a better term? I feel that it's very likely we could continue on this path, especially politically. I feel that COVID has been not just a devastating blow to our economy and our nation and people, our citizens' lives. It has been around the world globally to every nation that it has affected. And I find it has also become a very good political weapon. And the fact that it can be used as a political weapon to scare people into falling in line with a political belief or falling in line with a political party, or at the very worst of it, falling in line with bashing your neighbor or tearing down cities, or, which kind of overlooks the fact that if we're going to go destroy everything, but yet we're in the middle of a pandemic, it's very ironic that we would say that this isn't politically weaponized. And that being said, where is the future for this? So are we looking at every time there's a severe virus or some unknown contagion that gets out or is discovered, do we shut down world economies and global economies? Do we go back into a lockdown for whatever reason it may be or whatever outbreak it may be, until we have the facts, as we have with this one? Because in the beginning we found, okay, no, it was from China. It wasn't from China. We discovered that initially, yes, it potentially probably was from China. Now we know more facts about it, and it has spread, and it's kind of been around for a little longer than what they suspected. So do we shut down everything until we get all the facts just to be safe? And I guess that makes you wonder how many people, how many families were affected by smallpox, Ebola, swine flu, people that lost their lives, but we didn't shut down. Do we hold past administrations accountable? Do we say lives were lost that should not have been lost because of the response of previous administrations to viruses then? And this administration has now set a precedent to show that this is the response that we should have to save lives, and others have not. It brings an interesting perspective to it. So that was something I wanted to bring up. I thought that update needed to be brought to our audience's attention. Whether no matter what side you see it on or view it on, or what your perspective is, I'm here to listen. If you want to reach out to us at twopartypodcast@gmail.com, you can go to our website. You can submit on the contact page. You can submit a form if you want to be on the show and discuss facts or discuss your side or perspective of things. That's what we are here for. I look forward to having that conversation with anybody that would like to be on the show. We can record live remotely, and you can get your opinion out there. You can agree or disagree with what I talk about. That's what I'm here for. So let's move forward a little bit. The other news that I'm looking at today that I find is pretty interesting goes back to the same thing, but more on the anti-lockdown protests. Boy, is this a hot topic. We've got protesters by the thousands, tens of thousands of people protesting in other countries about anti-lockdown, overreach of government, taking human rights, civil rights away due to the lockdown and the policing of it. What we're seeing is in Germany, Brazil, United Kingdom, Chile, London, many of these nations are seeing just an overwhelming response by the citizens who disagree with this lockdown at this time. Everybody, I think, is on the same page. Enough is enough. And hey, us as humans, we get impatient. We get very unsettled. I feel we have done the best we can with this virus, and I don't think that there's really anything we can do more. The talk of a vaccine sounds good. Should that come along, great. If you're one that wants to go take a vaccine and supposedly help cure or remove it or protect you from getting it or dying of the symptoms, whatever the vaccine may claim it does, that's great. But for those who are not going to vaccinate, I think we're at a peak now that there's not much more the government can do for us. There's not much more that the CDC or any scientist, other than making a vaccine or something to protect, a medication or a prescription of something, I don't think there's much more we can do. Do we stop living our lives until that happens? I think that would be absolutely absurd. I think at this point in time, we've reached a peak of it's time to start reopening and then utilizing the systems we have put in place with PPE and all the different masks. If you're a business that supports wearing the mask, do it. If you're requiring your customers to wear a mask, ask them to honor that. If they don't want to honor that, let them take their business elsewhere. Don't try to hold them to it. It should be their choice if they want to wear a mask in your business or not wear a mask in your business, just as it is your choice to ask them to wear a mask in your business or not. I believe we've come to a point where it's time to reach common ground, and the common ground is freedom. And I'm one to speak freedom whenever any topic comes up of any kind. I feel the number one word is the F word that should come up. We should immediately step in on any subject from looking from both sides, and we should bring in the F word, freedom. Are we providing freedom as a business by giving our customer a choice? As a customer, are we giving others businesses our freedom by choosing where we want to shop and spend our money? I think the word freedom should fall into the perspective of almost any topic we speak of when it comes to our actual choices. I feel that we genuinely, as a society, we are spoiled, especially here in America. We have it very good as opposed to other countries and nations that are still suffering from many other things besides COVID. But I feel we've reached a point where there's no more that the government's going to do for our country and businesses and nation, other than maybe try to hand us some money that's really not enough to sustain our families. I feel it's time that we start to open up under smart circumstances. If you're a business that you want to be safe or keep your customers safe, that should be your option. Freedom. If you're a business that says, welcome one and all, I don't care what you do and wear a mask, we're going to wipe it down, we're going to clean, we're going to do our best to protect you. Freedom. Do it. If you're a customer and you're going to a store and they don't require masks and you're upset and irate that someone's in that store, freedom. It's not your choice. It's their choice. It is your choice to walk away from that store. That's your freedom. You can choose to go in that store. You can choose to leave that store. Just like the person that chooses not to wear the mask doesn't have to go in your friend's store that does have the mask mandate. So I feel we've reached a point where it's time to move forward. It's time to open the floodgates, get our businesses up and running, help families that are suffering. Some of the statistics you see on alcoholism rise, you're seeing people that are just turning to alcoholism and drinking more. You're seeing more domestic violence and abuse. You're seeing kids being abused, kids that have been abused that are forced to stay home with the abusers. You're seeing severe cases of anxiety and depression. You're seeing rise in the rates of suicide. You're seeing just outlandish things when you force somebody to be in a realm they've never been in. I mean, this is all uncharted territory for each and every one of us. The most important thing we got to remember is look out for each other, look out for our neighbor, put our family first. I always like to say put our family first, but let's be real. We're all in this together. We're all one family. So if I'm putting my family first, I'm going to protect my family. I get it. I love you, but we're all one family. And by protecting our neighbor and protecting our businesses and our clients and our customers, as a family, that's what we have to do. And we have to treat it as we are all one family. We cannot just look out for our household, because our household could be the sick household spreading it, or our household could be the one that's not had it yet, but will get it. So when we look out for each other and everybody around us as a family, and we treat our business, our local businesses and our neighbors and our friends, and me and my wife had an instant. We were in the store last week, and there was some elderly people walking around, and you could see the fear on their face as they came near us. Now, we were in a Lowe's where they do not require masks. It is optional. So we literally we had our mask in our hand. We walked in the store with our masks. We took them off as we were shopping, and we would walk past some elderly people, and we would notice the fear on their face. We would notice their expression, obviously just their eyes, but you would notice their expression that they were maybe a little upset that we weren't wearing ours. So we would put it on, and then they would pass by us. We would pass by them. I would, nudge my wife, "Hey, babe, we need to put that on real quick. Somebody's coming, down our aisle or coming close," and we did. And it's just having a common courtesy, having respect for your neighbors, and I like to go back to how I was raised, having respect for your elders. We want to take care of our elderly. We want to take care of them just like we want to take care of our own children. The way those elderly got where they are is because someone took care of them throughout their life from a young age. And as much as we take care of our children, we also need to take care of our elderly. And so out of respect, I carry a mask. My wife carries a mask. Our opinion on it, I think it should, again, be the F word, freedom. If I choose not to wear that mask, I don't have to. I just worked as an inspector for the election board here in Tulsa. Ran one of the polls here. We were required all day to wear masks. We were required every 20 to 30 minutes to wipe down all the equipment, wipe down the booths, wipe down the tables. We had 6-foot plus tape marks to keep people socially distanced. We followed every protocol that you would potentially want to follow as a business, or if you really want to go overwhelmingly into it, we kind of overdid it in as much as we could to protect the people, to protect the people coming in to vote, to make them feel safe. And did I enjoy it? No, I had a mask on for over 12 hours and then still had to drop off the ballots and stuff. So about a 14-hour day wearing a mask. It sucked. Makes me realize what our healthcare workers are going through. And I respect them, and I respect our first responders and the police and the people that are working more than an 8-hour day and forcefully having to wear these masks due to the regulations. But we did that. We got through it. On a whole nother topic, voting is safe. I mean, I ran that election, ran that precinct. We had no issues. We had a few people come in there that refused, and I mean belligerently refused, and made it very, very, very obvious they weren't wearing a mask. They didn't want to wear a mask, and we weren't going to force them to wear a mask, but they were there to vote because it's their right, and we allowed them to. And they came in and they did their thing, and we went and wiped the booth down, followed them through, and got them out the door. And again, freedom. If that's what that person felt, great. Let them do their thing, get their vote in, and get out. So on a side note, when the election comes here in November, if you're worried about voting, your precincts are safe. Your precincts should be providing all the PPE and safety equipment for the workers. and the workers that are there should be doing their part to keep the place clean, wiped down, and sanitized. And so you're safe to show up in person. We had a bunch of people come with the mail-ins. We had, which we can't accept. It was already past the deadline, so we just had them vote in person. We had a lot of interesting things come up, but the people that wanted to wear masks, they came, and there was no problem. And the voting thing, I don't see a problem with it. I don't see where we can do anything better again with this COVID to have to keeping everything shut down. I don't see why we're still even having the conversation of keeping things shut down, because there's nothing more this administration can do, and there's nothing more that another administration can do, and there's nothing more that any healthcare facility in the world is going to do to change the reaction and the, I guess, dynamic of this virus. We have learned as much as we can at this point, and we'll continue to learn more, but we can't just stop our lives and our nations and our livelihoods and watch as our neighbors lose their businesses and go bankrupt, lose their houses into foreclosure. They're our family. We have to look out for our family. And in order to do so, no matter what political party you're affiliated with, look out for your neighbor. Help this economy get going again. Help us open up and get these businesses going to get your neighbor a job, whether you're on the same side of the aisle or whether you don't see eye to eye as a neighbor. It's time. It's time to really start looking into the options of getting past this, putting it behind us, and treating it as what it is, which is a virus we have zero control over. We have zero control over the spread. We know the CDC's gone back and forth with how we can catch it, can't catch it. It's airborne, it's not airborne, it's surface related, it's not surface related, round and round. And it's just time that we just say enough's enough. It is a virus that we know is dangerous. It can be deadly. The best we can do is take care of ourselves in every practice throughout our day, from the time we wake up to the time we come back home to our home, and throughout our travels. We wash our hands, we sanitize if we don't have a place to wash our hands, use antibacterial cleaning stuff for our hands, wear the mask when you have to wear the mask. If you choose to wear the mask, wear it all day if you want, but keep one on you out of respect for your family, your neighbors. Continue to do that. Those are things, even after we say, okay, enough, this is the day that COVID ends and we move forward as a nation, still do those things. Still wash your hands. It shouldn't be having to be said, but still wash your hands. Still get the antibacterial everything. Bring a mask with you still, because you don't know if you're going to be around someone sick. The last thing I want to do is go to a local health department where people are sick because they're there to be treated, and not have a mask on me these days. I mean, obviously. So just common sense things. So sorry I got sidetracked. If you know me, you know I'll do that. Back to where I was is the anti-lockdown protests around the world. So I'm looking at just one article where we've got a whole bunch of just rallies, tens of thousands of people showing up in the UK. You name it, Germany, Chile's got protests going on. I mean, we've got countries that are going through the same thing we're going through, and us as a nation, we're sitting here watching. Just in America, we're watching day in and day out, day 80 of protests in Portland over Black Lives Matter, and they do. But I'm going to say it, all lives matter. If we're going to go ahead and put one life ahead of another life, we're not treating our neighbors as family. We're not showing the unity and the love that we're supposed to show. Every life matters. Every single life matters. Does protesting peacefully bring attention to a cause? Yes, always has. That's what it was always about. Does any portion of violence in a protest deter from it? Correct, it does. If there's going to be violence and assaults and deaths and shootings and burning buildings and businesses, it is not acceptable. It is 100% not going to help the cause. One of the things I find interesting is there was the discussion of the one, I believe it was one of the younger children speaking out for Black Lives Matter. And she had mentioned about, well, we're going to loot these businesses because they're insured. What was never mentioned there, and I think probably that child, I say because she was young, maybe it wasn't mentioned or taught to her that just because you have insurance, I've wrecked cars before, many of them. I've used home insurance. It does not pay everything. And it does not pay for a business to have insurance and they lose all their merchandise, which on most of these businesses, their shelves are stocked. If you're a big retail store or you're a retail person, you know how distributorships work. You're a distributor of a product, and sometimes you may or may not have paid for that product. It's just on your shelf. And the insurance is going to pay the person that distributed that to you, but they're not paying you for the damage that's been done to your store in order to steal that product. And so you may not get reimbursed for that money. The other thing is the time it takes to make a business, build a business. I've owned several businesses, still running one right now, construction company. I look at how much time I've spent building my repertoire with my clients, my reputation in the industry, trying to fine tune my skills in the industry to be able to provide a better product for people. I just look at all the work and time away from my family, literally working 7 days a week. You know, you hear that people say, "Oh, I've been working 14 hours Monday through Friday." For some of us business owners that start from scratch, we don't have a handout. We didn't get a bank loan. We didn't use a business plan. We literally just turnkey went out and just started a business. Said, "We're going to do it. I'm going to do it my way. This is how I'm going to do it." My insurance isn't going to pay me back for my time. When it takes you to, establish a business, it takes you a year to 2 years to really get your foot in the ground, get clients, get a name base, get your brand out there. And you're being told your insurance is just going to handle it if I come break in your business, steal everything out of it, and destroy it. And that is just an utter false statement, and a misinformed statement at that. And I think it's almost scary to know that maybe some of the younger generation believe that insurance just covers everything. Kind of like getting, a trophy to every kid in the contest type of thing. Insurance will not. You will lose. Most of these businesses that have been burnt and destroyed like that, they won't come back. Some of the bigger chains may come back, but it really is going to depend on the market. If that business was in a location that it actually produced enough profit to justify the insurance claim for the major chain to come back and rebuild. If it's not, if it's in a city like Minneapolis is prime example, they burnt that place to the ground. There's a lot of major big chain businesses there that will and have already said they will not rebuild there, even though the market there for their business was huge. And they did make a profit because they were the only big businesses of that dynamic in that community. They will not come back. That insurance will not pay that major chain what they lost, nor will it pay the store owner or franchise owner. So it's saddening to see these things due to this pandemic. And again, I know I'm sidetracking a little bit, but there's so much on my mind with these announcements with this COVID. But again, I'm looking at these protests. So back on topic with these protests, you've got people that are just giving speeches on court and in front of, German, right on the steps in London, they're doing these protests and speeches. You've got people being arrested nonstop. So you've got people in Hyde Park in London, Britain, being arrested. You've got people in Hong Kong in the middle of having legislators brawling. You've got so many things going on. It's hard to turn your back on or say in any way, shape, or form that we're probably heading down a bad path here. So it's just something to think about. We'll get into that on the next episode. But right now, I'm looking at some more stuff. So I'm going to stop this one. I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you for listening. This will be a short one. Thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing from you.